I don't know what happened, but I'll look after you. Everybody, run!
Telltale Games. Love them or hate them, they've undeniably left a mark on the gaming industry. For some, that legacy is the rise of cinematic storytelling through simple, accessible gameplay. But for others, it's the beginning of games becoming, well, interactive movies with only the illusion of choice. Now, personally, I've always loved Telltale Games. That said, I completely understand the criticism. These games have plenty of, let's call them issues, and some titles are just plainly better than others. So I thought, why not play every single Telltale game and rank them from best to worst? But before we start, there's something interesting about Telltale Games that a lot of people don't realize. They basically make two different kinds of game. Well, mostly. First, you have choice-driven narrative games. Stuff like The Walking Dead and The Wolf Among Us. Then there are classical puzzle adventures, games with a fixed story, like Sam & Max or Monkey Island. And I think you could agree that comparing The Walking Dead with Sam & Max just doesn't feel right? So I'm splitting the ranking into two separate lists. One for the narrative-focused games and another for the puzzle adventure titles. Now, funnily enough, Telltale made 14 puzzle adventure games and 14 story-driven games. So we'll go from worst to best in each category to keep things interesting. Also, I really want to make one thing clear before we start again. I don't think Telltale ever made a truly bad game. Some are definitely more boring than the others, and a few feel overpriced for what they are. But if you grab them on sale or abandonware, I don't think any of them are like complete waste of time. One more thing. Some of these games have been delisted from Steam, but you can still find them in archives.org or in abandonware websites. And finally, I'm not including the poker night games because, let's be honest, I don't think anybody here is waiting for a deep dive into poker.
Short-term memory. I have to bring him back up to speed every once in a while.
Giant talking dog!
Number 15. Wait, didn't you just say there were 14 spots on this list? So what the hell is number 15 doing here? Well, we've got a weird outlier here. Jurassic Park the game. Why is it in its own category? Because it doesn't really fit anywhere else. It's not a puzzle game. There are maybe a handful of extremely simple obstacles in the entire thing you need to pass, you need to solve. But it's also not really a choice-driven narrative game either. You barely even get dialogue options, and when you do, they actually don't matter.
Carfentanil? An opioid? No, I don't, Doctor. But I mean, what good would that?
I don't have time to explain.
So, what exactly is this game? Basically, it's a short, quick time event-driven cinematic game. Think like Heavy Rain, but without any choices Okay, look, honestly, this is like very weird game. Out of all of Telltale Games, this one probably requires the most concentration. The QTEs comes at you so fast, and if you miss an input by like even a split second, you're dead. In a way, that does make the action feel more intense. But at the same time, when I'm hyper-focused on mashing buttons, I can't actually pay attention to the cool action happening on the screen, you know?
I can't keep this up alone!
Gee. Yes! Reverse!
And man, those QTEs have terrible design. I don't know, dude. Maybe make the indicators a little bigger, or maybe don't hide the next button prompt until I've already pressed the previous one. Like, some sections actually feel designed for you to fail the first time, just so you can, memorize the sequence you need. At least the game grades your performance based on mistakes, so technically there's some replayability here. Although it's pretty funny getting a gold rating for a scene when I basically just clicked 3 dialogue options. Okay, did I do it like very fast?
Oscar, these smell frightened baby in pilot seat. You eat.
Now, one thing I will give the game credit for. The death scenes are fantastic. There's a surprisingly creative death animation for almost every failed QTE. Honestly, there were moments when I intentionally messed up just to see how horribly my character would die. And to be fair, the action scenes themselves are actually pretty exciting. When you can see them instead of staring at a button prompt the whole time. The story, though, is pretty freaking weak. What you're getting here is basically a side story happening alongside the events of the first Jurassic Park movie. These new characters revisit locations after the movie cast has already passed through them. It's fun in a nostalgic, hey, I recognize that place kind of way, but it doesn't really add anything meaningful or interesting to the whole universe. There's also just not enough time to properly develop the characters. Most of the plot boils down to run from dinosaurs and try not to die. So even if the game wanted to tell a deeper story, there's really isn't much meat on these bones. Get it, bones? More than anything, this game feels like a testing ground for what Telltale would later become. You can already see pieces of the formula here. The menus look stylish, but they're also too clunky and slow. The scoring system makes everything feel overly gamey instead of immersive, especially in conversations. And the lack of meaningful choices turned the whole experience into something short, shallow, and kind of forgettable. If you are a huge Jurassic Park fan, then yeah, you'll probably still have fun with this. The music alone does a lot of heavy lifting. You know the Jurassic Park score, god damn it. But if you're looking for one of Telltale's more interesting games, you can safely skip this one.
Stay right there.
Number 40. Bones is a game that is just a dare. I don't know how else to describe it, honestly. It's probably the shortest experience on this list, lasting maybe 2 hours tops if you're exploring. There are only 2 episodes, and while I really like the style, you are also just kind of dropped in the middle of this world without rhyme or reason and just expected to care about what's going on. And the game kind of doesn't explain what's going on. I did not care. Maybe because it's a very kids-friendly game. I mean, I don't need blood, guts, and sex every 5 seconds in my game, but that kid-friendliness sort of removes a lot of the charm.
They wanted to bake me in a quiche. Or one of them did, anyway.
That's all, huh? What about that shifty cousin of yours? You think that phony Bone might have had some dealings with him?
The puzzles are way too simple. You think maybe they will build on them later on, but they are mostly just a single use. And there's very little creativity. It's just take this, do this. That's it. Also, for a game that is a few hours, you mostly run around in 3 locations. Not maps, locations. Over and over. So you're stretching a game that has no meat on its bones. Get it? And what do you think the experience will be? Well, it will be boring, okay? It's just boring. Honestly, I feel like we did nothing in episode 1. We walked somewhere, talked to some characters, and kind of nothing more.
Right, I have you down for 6 eggs on the mystery cow. And a smart bet it is, I might add. Good luck, friend. So far, so good. Now to get the rest of these yokels to bet on the mystery cow, and I'll be sitting pretty.
You know how the game solves this problem? Running sections. Yes, you run from a big scary thing that is chasing you. Think of every fake mobile game ad you have ever seen. I don't know why it makes this game feel so cheap. Maybe those mobile games influenced me, but these were not interesting. Like, nothing changes. The layout is always the same and repeats after a while. The enemies chasing you barely do anything interesting. Oh, and it goes on for fucking minutes. Why? You can just skip it. There's no reward for doing them. So, are they just here to make the game longer? There's no point to them. Look, I'll say this. I surprisingly like the lore of this world. It has some cool ideas, but the presentation, especially the voice acting, breaks a lot of the immersion for me. The actors sound like they are trying to portray a character, but not being one. You can feel the strain on their voices, and it's just not fun to listen after a while, you know? Also, this is a nitpick, but the text and the text bubble animation are like kind of the same speed, so you can see the text falling out of the bubble when the dialogue closes. It just annoys me that there wasn't a hard cut if they didn't have a time for animation. It's not a bad game, especially if you're a fan of Bone comics or want something for the kids. But I also completely understand why no one played this game back then.
Do you know anything about women?
I know this. They love strong guys.
What else do you know about women?
I know they can't resist a man in a helmet.
Really?
Number 14. Okay, let's be honest for a second. Did anyone actually ask for a standalone Michonne game? Like, out of all the characters in The Walking Dead, Michonne was the only one that needed an entire game about her. Don't get me wrong, she's not a bad character, but compared to the rest of the cast, she's, I don't know, dude, either just kind of uninteresting, or she comes across as this ultra badass action hero who feels like she wandered from a completely different show. So yeah, The Walking Dead Michonne lands at the very bottom of this list.
I can't believe that worked.
Just be glad it did.
There! Take him down!
Into the woods! Move!
But focusing on a kind of lame character is only part of the problem. The other issue is the length. No, look, I'm not trying to start the whole price versus playtime debate. That fucking conversation never ends. But even today, paying around 15 fucking bucks for what's basically a 3 to 4 hour super boring on-rail experience, it feels rough. Yes, insert the Angry Joe 4 hours meme here. Great, moving on. The length itself might not be the core issue, but there's simply not enough time to get invested in the world or the characters. The game looks flashy, the action scenes are well directed, but there's barely any substance underneath it, to keep you emotionally engaged. And for a Walking Dead game, not being emotionally engaged, it's like the sin I can't forgive. Now you think a shorter Telltale game would mean every single scene is packed with tension, brutal choices, intense actions, or meaningful world building, whatever, right? But instead, not much actually happens. The moral decisions are minimal, the pacing drags, and the characters are all over the place.
You want answers? Talk to me!
Stop! Stop! Don't move! Sam!
Greg, don't! It's okay.
You think this is okay?
We don't have to be enemies. You don't have to do this.
I know. Last chance, Zachary! Fucking do something! Stop! Damn it, Zachary! Now who's taking things too far?
I did.
Outside now!
Also, because it's such an isolated side story, There's barely any reason to even play it now. If you're a fan of Michonne from the TV show or comics, you're in a weird spot because this version of the character doesn't truly feel like the same person, at least to me. And if you're invested in the Telltale's Walking Dead storyline, the game barely contributes anything important to the larger world building or narrative. At the same time, if you're completely new to The Walking Dead and just want a good zombie game, this doesn't work very well either. The game expects you to already understand the world, the tone, and the characters, but it also doesn't reward longtime fans with anything particularly meaningful. I really don't know why they made this game, apart like they had something to release. It also suffers from the same problem a lot of the later Walking Dead games started to develop, basically. The writing loses its natural feel. The characters here are either painfully bland or weirdly overdramatic. Yes, overdramatic even for the end of the world. People react to situations in a way that doesn't feel human anymore. It feels like they're reading the script, like they're waiting for the most dramatic moment or the most dramatic thing to say. Especially going back and seeing how natural and free-flowing the conversations in the first game felt. Now, to be fair, I still don't think it's a bad game. There's some good presentation here and a few genuinely cool moments. But compared to the rest of the Telltale's lineup, this is easily the weakest one for me. And only play this if you get it with a major discount, because $50? Oh, are you kidding me, boy?
This is the world your kids are dying in, Michonne. Or died in. Or are in that walking purgatory.
Shut up. Don't talk about them.
Either way, they're suffering. And Mommy isn't there. We all have our demons, honey. Some are on the inside.
Number 30. Wow, this game is not for me. I don't even know who this game is for, or what the hell is even happening, or who is strong bad. But what I can tell you is how it feels to play. It feels like you're playing an okay-ish Flash game with super low quality animations and gameplay that kind of feels older than Flash itself. Okay. But the story and the flow, I don't even know how to explain it. But look, sorry if you like this game or these characters, but the only word I can use to describe this game is cringe. Cringe.
Welcome to Bob's Concession Telestale. For calendars, press 1. For tie-irons, press 8. For supportos, press star.
You can't prank a phone tree. Besides, the last time I navigated Bub's telestand, I wound up with a crate full of rhino horns, and not even the endangered kind.
Half of the dialogue sounds like toddlers speaking, half of it is just random nonsense, and the main character is just, I don't know, unlikable in any shape or form. Man, there are 5 chapters of this, and this is the only game that I nearly fell asleep, maybe like 5 fucking times. Nothing interesting happens. It's a game for toddlers, but also the game wants to be all dark and edgy, and man, it doesn't work here at all. But once more, that might be just my opinion, and if I would have grown up with these types of web cartoons or comics, I would probably vibe with it more. That's not to say that it's a terrible, God-forbidden game. From a gameplay perspective, it's pretty solid. I like that you can place new locations on your map. The loading times are very fast, and the map itself allows for a bit more exploration than some other games on this list.
All right, I'll fix the machine.
The voice acting is also pretty good, even if I don't like the whole make funny bad voice on purpose type of situation. It's probably a really faithful adaptation of the source material. But man, if you're not a fan of it, the game explains fucking nothing. I do not understand anything. What's this world? Why is everyone called bad? What's even happening? A few answers might help to get new eyes on this material, since I don't think the IP itself has any real problems. The puzzles here are a bit of a mixed bag. I like some of them, and they offer creative solutions, but more than half are either really simple or not that interesting to solve. Like, okay. You know what? Maybe playing puzzle games for over a month affected my enjoyment of simple things. But compared to Sam and Max, there's very little creativity here. It's a fine game if you're a big fan of the IP. If you're not, definitely skip this one or just watch the gameplay on YouTube if you want to experience the humor without the frustration.
I always knew it would come to this. Did you think I wouldn't find out? Did you really believe that I would never discover the true face of my greatest enemy?
That's right, but it doesn't matter now because I have the diamond!
You mean this diamond?
Number 13. Look, maybe I'm just too old for this, okay? But I could never really get into Minecraft. I understand the appeal. I get why people love the freedom, the creativity, the ability to build basically anything you can imagine. But for me, personally, neither the sandbox gameplay nor the world itself ever, clicked. So, take this ranking with a huge grain of salt, right from the very start, okay? Okay? Because I really did not care about Minecraft story mode. Yeah, sorry.
How we all doing, huh? Hey, that's awesome. That's awesome. I'm so proud to be standing in front of you all today.
Well, you guys ready then?
Oh, yeah! This'll be a way easier target than Magnus.
Wait, what's going on?
Oh, well, that's not good.
Holy crap!
To me, this entire game feels like it was built around one idea. Minecraft is popular, and look, we also look like Minecraft, and then it just kind of stops there with the creativity. I'm not even joking, the characters are exactly what you expect them to be. Oh, this new female character is going to be tough badass, while our protagonist will start off as a nervous coward until the plot demands him to become this very cool guy and wow, amazing, shocking, I've never seen these characters before or will see again in million fucking pieces of media. And the weirdest thing for me was that this whole project, inspired by one of the most creatively limitless games ever made, it's incredibly unimaginative. Literally, every single plot point, joke, or idea here is just taken from other stories. It reminds me of the whole Green Lantern problem. Like, this guy can literally create anything with his imagination. And what does he usually make? Giant fists and machine guns. Real groundbreaking stuff here, guys. Real groundbreaking. That's basically what happened here. Minecraft can be anything. Yet the story settles for the most basic fantasy dungeon crawling adventure imaginable.
Nothing. But you idiots had the one thing that I most desperately needed. I've been stuck in this stupid world with its stupid 2 moons for years! Trapped, with a portal right under my nose, but no key to open it. That is, until I finally heard that this world's portal key had been found. I knew it was one of you.
It's a universe with infinite possibilities, somehow trapped inside of the most popular genres cliche you can ever think about. And with the DLCs, the story just loses all focus. It's just about things, about just random things. Oh, AI is taking over. Oh, gladiators need to rise up against their capturers. Oh, big bad guy. Oh, we need to find random artifacts. What? Gameplay-wise, there's barely anything here. Compared to most Telltale games, this one has very little tension, very few meaningful choices, and not really that much action either. Half of the time it feels like I'm playing a game and more like watching a cartoon, and not even in the fun way that most Telltale games are. I do understand that the game is visually faithful to Minecraft. I do understand that the game is visually faithful to Minecraft's style and, references. But man, it also looks really rough, like really bad.
And my conclusion is that you are not from here. Despite what you told these nice townspeople, I would like to ask you some questions to expand my database. How did you get here? I am very excited for the acquisition of new knowledge. Thrilled, even.
Oh, let's not talk about me. I'd rather hear about you. How did you get here?
I get that it's a part of the aesthetic, but it still came across as undercooked and overly childish to me. Like someone who has just learned 3D like 5 days ago, completely building a world. Again, that's probably just personal preferences. But what can I say? The characters are generic, the story feels recycled, the humor mostly boils down to, hey look, that's a Minecraft thing. It constantly relies on recognition instead of being clever or developing interesting ideas for the Minecraft world. So if you absolutely love Minecraft, you'll probably get a lot more enjoyment out of this than I did. But if you're mainly here because you like Telltale Games and expect one of their stronger stories, then this is a very easy skip.
Has a better chance of getting past the gladiators. Trust me. In the middle of the race is a part with tons of gladiators. That's when we should all team up. Defeat them, then race to the finish. Well, what do you say? Unless you don't want the help of a former gladiator.
You got a deal.
Good.
Number 12. Hector, the Badge of Carnage, is an episodic game made out of 3 relatively small chapters or episodes. It has a pretty fun art style, reminding me of those old Flash games, and the world it creates is pretty, fucked up, yet interesting to explore. In fact, the story is better than I expected. I mean, don't think this is a Walking Dead's level of writing masterpiece, but it has some more meat on its bones.
Come on, where are you? Oh my god. Sorry!
The puzzles, while not really any difficult, are at least fun and logical, so you don't feel like the game punishes you for not thinking in 5 dimensions. Oh, and what I will give this game is that it has one of the best hint systems I've experienced. You can ask any question for any hint. It's just that the game also makes fun of you. It's lighthearted, not actually making fun of you. The freaking problem is the voice acting. It goes from good yet funny to, did you record this with your phone in a bucket at night? And it's not just the quality of the recordings. Some voice actors are clearly pushing way past their limits to make the voice sound interesting or funny, but it's not funny. When every single character does a funny voice, you know what I mean. Hector can especially get on your grade. Some parts where he just goes on and on, really started to get annoying and not really fun in any way.
Anything down now?
I think I see something.
Oh no, wait, it's only my life flashing before my eyes.
And talking about that, man, the game misses a lot of jokes. Like, it feels that I'm playing an early version of Sam and Max, but the humor and the flow is not worked out yet. I wish there were more fun interactions with our buddy and a bit more quips, since some parts did feel rather dry. Though, I like the variety of environments. I like that the story escalates at a rapid pace. Hell, it was even fun doing a bit of CSI work. If I was playing this as a Flash game all those years ago, this would be amazing. 10 out of 10 experience. But sadly, this is a PC game. And as a PC game, it really falters. I think I had 3 quits to the desktop in like a 2.5 hour game. At one point, characters turned black and started to blink like I was censoring them. And it started to do in such an annoying way that I nearly puked. Yeah, that was fun. My ultimate problem is that the way the characters move, the way the humor drags on, the way you need to go back to the same places over and over, it ultimately feels like an amazing 30-minute experience stretched to be a full 3-episode game. It's good, I had fun, but it can't go anywhere near the top 10 games in this list. Sorry, Hector.
I'm home. Who is it? It's your grandmother, who'd you think? Well, if it isn't Clapper's Least Wanted. I've spent the better part of my day arsing about looking for you. Have you now? Happy times. Let's meet down the pub and we'll all have a good old laugh about it. I'll bring the cuffs. Oh, Hector, we're not finished by a long shot. By the way, I'd like to thank you. Yeah? What for? For saving me the effort of hunting you down. What you getting at, you arse flap? Can't beat those sunsets, hey, Hector? Are you sure it's Gran? She must have a cold.
Number 12. Can you guess what landed in the 12th place? Did you guess it's another Minecraft game? Yep, it's Minecraft Story Mode Season 2. However, while it suffers from almost every single problem the first season had, I liked it way more than the first game. It feels like the writers generally put a bit more effort this time around. It is more focused, with characters having their own arcs, and way better humor, that's actually funny and isn't just recycled. With all that, Season 2 felt far less exhausting to get through, and even had some great moments.
Right behind you guys!
Really? What a dangerous world, Jesse. You are so tiny, there is so much distance to cover.
The biggest improvement is that the game finally seems a little more confident in its own identity. The first season constantly felt like it was screaming Minecraft while wearing generic fantasy clothes. Season 2 still does that, obviously, but it tones it down just enough for the characters and story to actually breathe a little. And surprisingly, when you give characters space and things to do, some of these characters become kind of likable. I know, I'm shocked too. Jesse feels more natural as a protagonist this time around, because the game stops treating him like some random nobody instantly destined to become the greatest hero alive.
The sparkliest.
Is that... Diamond? Where is everyone?
That maniac is gonna get herself killed.
Would that be such a bad thing?
We should lend her a hand, shouldn't we?
Maybe we should just go.
But she sounds like she's in serious trouble.
Jack, we need to think about ourselves too.
We're not abandoning her.
There's more chemistry between the cast, a few genuinely fun interactions here and there, and freedom to create. Yeah, the main selling point of the AP. Now you can build stuff you want in different combinations and not just use a recipe in a specific situation. There are hidden recipes all around. The world looks way more creative, and they go far deeper into the whole it's a video game, type of fourth wall breaking. The gameplay, though, is still extremely bare bones. There are barely any meaningful puzzles, the exploration is still minimal, and the quick time events somehow becomes, like, kind of boring. I don't know, man.
When I thought I'd found a promising new friend... Such a disappointment. That is when I had a brilliant idea. The perfect way to weed out the bad friends from the good. To be appreciated. I became Jesse.
Yeah, in some parts it feels less of a gameplay and more just the game checking on me. Like, hey dude, are you still alive? The visuals are also still very much Minecraft.
Challenge room.
Which means if you already disliked that blocky style, this game is not going to change your mind. But again, I found the way the game looks to be big improvement over the first season, and it actually feels creative in some places. The problem is that better than Season 1 still doesn't make it amazing compared to some other entries on this list. Not a bad game. It's more enjoyable version of the same formula, but it never really escaped the limitations of that formula. If you already love Minecraft and its world, you'll probably have a good time here.
The army just took a power nap. Now they're stronger than ever. Yeah. Thanks to their nap.
Yeah. We're not gonna ask you again, all right? You just skedaddle before our well-rested army makes you regret it. They're gearing up. Yeah, it's the biggest army you've ever heard. Right here.
Bring out your army. I'm happy to take them on.
Oh, and they're happy to take you on, But, they're still getting ready, and it's gonna be a while. And you'll just get bored waiting, so you should probably just leave.
Number 11. Puzzle Agent is another weird game that reminds me of the Flash era. It has a very, very crude animation style, it's really low resolution, and the voice acting is all over the place, from very bad to quite decent. That being said, I freaking love the style of this puzzle adventure. In fact, it reminds me of Fargo so much that I couldn't stop thinking about the show. And the dark tone adds this relatively unique atmosphere for a game that is, well, about silly puzzles. Also, the story is insane. Like, actually insane. And, like, caught me off guard a few times. It's dark, twisted, and weird. My favorite combo.
Oh, what happened?
I found you unconscious in the woods. Did they speak to you?
Did who speak to me?
Just don't expect there to be a lot of story or a satisfying payoff. It just kind of goes by, but it's not that bad. Of course, the main attraction of a game called Puzzle Agent is, all the puzzle solving. And what I will say straight from the start, it has a really good structure for puzzles. Puzzles evolve over time, so you can get accustomed to, the mechanics, right? They also come with pretty straightforward explanations on what you actually need to do. And on top of that, you get hints by finding them around the game's map. Basically, no puzzle will be too hard for you if you really think about it or abuse the hint system. That's not to say that there aren't some annoying puzzles here, though I can say if they are annoying because they're badly designed or annoying because I fucking suck at them.
I don't know why, but you have to let him go with them.
I'm not gonna let you people keep him locked up in a factory like bait.
I'm sorry.
Either way, what I also really like is that you are judged at the end of each case. Use no hints and guess it in the first go, you get a 10. Perfect. A hint takes 1 star and a rejected answer 3. So it has a really good system to incentivize you to think a bit harder, but doesn't punish you with moon logic. The thing is, I wouldn't even call these 2 separate games, not only because the story sort of continues without a real ending for the first game, and not only because there's not a lot of improvement in part 2, but because it's just the same game. You talk to the same people, You visit the exact same locations, and most puzzles are similar, just dressed differently. I did not mind that. I liked the overall game, but when both parts cost around $10, I kinda wanted more. Maybe if it was just one longer game for $8, I would think about it differently, but not. It is what it is. A great small puzzle game that you should try if you like Fargo or, well, puzzles.
Director Jennings?
Good work, Tethers. Seems like you found something pretty important to these boys.
But
They'll take it from here.
But...
Enjoy yourself, Tethers. You're on vacation for Pete's sake. Go skiing. Shoot a bear. As for me, I'm headed to that Moose-Ear diner. I hear they blend up one damn fine milkshake. Why don't you come along?
Number 11. Well, the Expanse take 11th place, barely missing the top 10. Now, straight from the start, this feels a bit different from most Telltale games. You can freely fly throughout space, and the explorable maps here are really impressive looking. Just experiencing space and how the game allows you to do it is actually really impressive. Another thing is that the visuals and the character models are top quality. In fact, the movement through space is so good that you only need to add some sort of action or shooting mechanic, and it would kind of work amazingly as a Dead Space inspired adventure. So the presentation is great, except for one thing. Look, I don't know Expanse. I haven't watched it, and maybe that's how the story works there, but I'm super mixed on some dialogue because it sounds like this.
These were some of the first people to try and survive out here.
Does historical value pay well?
Beats me.
Looks like they were pulling walls off the station to fashion these caskets. Big pagal.
I actually really like having different slang and vocabulary, and even different accents make it feel more international, space, age, team, whatever. But I can't put my finger on the voice acting itself. On one hand, it feels more natural, some broken English, weird emotional expressions in some scenes. On the other hand, look, again, nothing against the actor, but it sounds like a bad YouTube video. What I mean by that, it sounds like this video. Ah, fuck, man. And I'm kind of expecting more from people to be more than my level. Why am I shitting? I'm gonna say, what?
That the people with the money to buy this are the same people who would use it against the belt.
Unless we don't sell it. Hear me out. Whatever this is, it could still be everything you need to help the belt.
I don't know, it's not the worst thing, but it does really stand out from the story perspective. I'm also kind of mixed. I like a lot of parts of the story, and the shifting alliances does make it one hell of a ride, but it also had a lot of kind of boring parts, a lot of twists that were at best okay, and at worst, you could see them coming right from the start. Again, I have not watched the show, but the overall story felt a bit unfocused. Like we jumped in the middle of the story, do something, and sort of fuck off. Look, I've played this game a few days ago, and I don't remember what was the main story about. Why again were we searching for that core or something? The game actually works way better in smaller moments. Even the pirates are cool, but the game never really explains how this universe works, so I felt kind of lost all the time. Is it a crazy threat?
I never should have let you.
When have you ever let me do anything? Stop beating yourself up. You didn't kill me, Kamina. I saved you.
Oh, and one thing I don't like. The game allows you to do quite a lot of what could be considered bad things, but then it chickens out and doesn't even give you an option to, truly side with the bad guy. Felt kind of lame and railroady. There's only a few QTA events in the game, which for some might be a plus, and even those that are in the game offered simple clicks that you can't really fail. Just click every button and that's it. There's no penalty for misclicking something or mistiming something. I do like that you can explore the ship and that the game adds extra achievements for small side stories. I will even give them a plus for not having that stupid timer when talking to people. Though a lot of dialogue here is way weaker than in other games, so I didn't really need most of the time to think, anyway. So look, if you're a fan of the IP, The Expanse, you'll probably love this game. If you want cool looking space game, then try it out. But for a truly great story, we need to look at the top 10.
I'm so sorry.
Number 10. Wallace and Gromit aren't my favorite characters in the world, but they do have a soft spot in my cold, dead heart. I love the claymation style, okay? I love the details of realistic clay figurines. I love the overexcited choppy movement. And I really like the stupidity of both, Wallace and Gromit. So understand that when I say that this game is a bit of a mixed bag. It has the same crazy, everything is escalated to the point of insanity vibe that Sam and Max games have. The characters here are as exaggerated and stupid as they can get, and the puzzles are clever, but not too challenging.
Now that's what I call a breakfast feast. Wasn't so difficult, was it, lad? With a hearty plate of eggs and toast under me belt, I'm ready to take on the world. Gromit, I've a strange feeling this is the day our fortunes are going to change.
However, a lot of the dialogue is kind of slow, and once you know how these characters are, they will always act the same, which is fine, but it makes the world feel kind of static. The puzzles here, right. They are clever by their design, but from a story perspective, a lot of them are just, oh my god, look how awkward and goofy Wallace is, and he needs to go through a crazy puzzle instead of solving it with like one sentence like any adults would do. Like the teabag puzzle. Seriously. You can't say, hey, there's a teabag on your chest. You look stupid with it. Let me help you out. Like, what? I don't know. I love the escalation and the wacky scenarios, but some puzzles started to get on my nerves.
For any business, we're doing all we can to get the situation under control. Normal honey service will be resumed as soon as possible. With normal-sized bees. That's a promise. There's a giant fly in the soup, lad. And it's shaped like a bee. They're taking over the town.
Probably since I'm no longer the main audience for this type of, experience. There's very little innuendos or dark humor, weird scenarios. It's a game for kids, and it doesn't stray far from that. From the technical side, it's pretty solid. The load times are decent, menus are fast, and your character doesn't move like a snail. Though I experienced a few bugs along the way. Bugs. But overall, it's a pretty good feeling and looking game. Yeah, surprisingly, that clay-style animation makes the game age very gratefully. Even now it looks great, with very high detailed yet exaggerated backgrounds and a lot of small animations here and there. I mean, they had to make animations for each of Gromit's expression, since, he's a dog and doesn't talk. Yeah, overall, it's a fun experience. But kind of not my jam anymore. Still, if you like this AP, you will definitely have a good Wallace and Gromit time.
Of course, but they soon saw who was boss and that the sting was on the other foot.
I was terrified.
That's only natural, Miss Flit. Well, I had a twinge or two myself at times, you know, but keep a cool head. That's my motto. Look your adversary square in the eye and never let yourself get carried away.
Number 10. So Batman the Telltale series Season 1 gets the 10th place for one simple reason. It is super short and kind of lacks in the story department. It's still fun, there's a lot of twists and turns in the story, but there is a notable lack of important decisions, and the flow more than ever feels restricted to the same story structure. It also like 6 hours max, while the follow-up sequel is almost 9. That might not sound like a crazy difference, but it really helps the story to feel more lively. This game actually works really well as a setup for the second game, which is amazing actually, more about it later. But even the villains here felt a bit too predictable and played the same note as you see in a lot of Batman media. Like they wanted to create unique versions of these well-known villains and be more of a Batman game, but they did not have the balls to go through it fully.
Stolen from corrupt jerks like Hill, but I've taken plenty from good people too. For what? Some shiny new toys and a crappy apartment on the edge of town? The high is nice, but it wears off. Then you look around and see nothing.
A lot of big moments like Two-Face changing are telegraphed a mile away and not like in a fun way. Compared to the second, this game conflict doesn't tear you apart enough. Oh sure, Bruce Wayne can do a lot in the story. I like that, but he feels like playing second fiddle to Batman and his importance. I do like the action scenes and the amount of Batman things you do, but the pacing is a bit off. Sometimes it feels like conversations dragging on, and then there's a bunch of combat encounters grouped close together. Lady Arkham was a bit weak of a villain, and the reveal was not set up that impressively. In fact, the end did not feel like crazy last encounter where every plot thread comes together. I like the dynamic of Bruce and Penguin, and I really dig his new design, but I don't know, I just wanted something bigger with his story at the end. The voice acting and visuals. Oh wow, especially if you're playing with the black and white high contrast mode, it looks mesmerizing.
I'm telling the truth, and I know you're hearing me.
You're right. Oh God, I was about to... I'm sorry.
I knew you didn't have the stones for this.
Officer, drop your weapon!
But do know that I'm a big sucker for black and white films, and it is a separate paid DLC, which kinda ruins the mood when you have to pay extra. Well, if you get it with a discount, it's well worth, since even being such a small thing, it makes the game stand out a bit more amongst other Telltale games. It's a good Batman story, but being a good Batman story isn't saying a lot, because we have so many good stories already featuring the Batman. If you are a Man-Bat fan, then sure, this game will be fun experience. But for anyone else, I think you can skip this one as well, unless you're like me and love black and white media.
Take your time, sons.
That's the plan. You're going to die.
Number 9. Well, this one is also weird. I was planning maybe to put it with Jurassic Park, but it does play out more or less like a weird spin-off of CSI and a courtroom puzzle. It's really weird. Probably the weirdest game on this list.
More seriously.
Which is whatever. And the main reason for that is that you actually need to learn court proceedings and how it all works. Like, I'm not joking. I actually now know how the hell does the prosecutors and defense work, like what can be objected to and what's like asked and answered. I dig this, like really dig this. And what's better, it's not just click every conversation option and you won type of deal. You make mistakes, you lose jury focus, meaning that you can sort of let the criminal go.
Chicken heads and feathers. Huh. What'd you find? It's the carcass of a whole rooster. It's a big one, too. Why do you suppose they just throw it away?
Maybe it died of diphtheria.
Nah, it's all cut up. Wait, let me see that blade again. I know what this is. It's a gaff. They attach these to the claws of... Hey, Mr. Huang!
What's crazy for me is that conversations and investigation, the whole find clues deal, is like 50% of the case. Then everything else goes into the court. So it's really focused on the specifics in putting the bad guy in jail in a legal way. Now, those stories are quite varied in the core and how you need to approach them. There's actually a lot of very well-written dialogue, and the game knows when to be really serious and when to be more of a goof. Like, I especially like the insanity that were these two guys defending themselves, and they had no idea what they were doing. The game had a great setup for this, teaching me how to do these court battles, and then later on giving me some cocky asshole who thinks he knows what he's doing, but nope, you're the smartest here. Even though they are really, really stupid,
Anyone else?
Your Honor, please. If Mr. Cutter digs any deeper, he's gonna need a pickaxe. This is clearly leading.
Last chance, Mr. Cutter.
You sure you didn't see anyone you can remember?
Not really.
Your Honor, permission to treat witnesses hostile.
Permission granted, Mr. Cutter. Hope you know what you're doing.
Mr. Zemsta, you will now answer my questions with a simple yes or no, and you will answer them truthfully, or the DA's office will charge you with obstruction and perjury. Is that crystal clear?
What I also like is that it's not just about the cases. Like in CSI, it's just about the murder. You very rarely hear about anything personal of these characters, which, yeah, I get it. But these little moments between characters gives way more of a realistic feeling here. Like, oh yeah, these are still people with the same wants and needs as you. The story isn't something magical, but for a game like this, I really liked it. And there's quite a lot of it, so you'll get your fill. Now, I'll be fair. There's a lot that I don't like about this game. Sure, I mentioned that the writing is good, but at some places it felt a bit all over the place. The animations and visuals did not age that gratefully, even compared to CSI titles. But two things bugged me the most. First, it's all about dialogue. So you need a way to read back what was said to find contradictions. The game has it, but it's sometimes bugged out for me, showing nothing, and was generally just clunky to use and navigate. I kind of imagine a new game with simple dialogue flowcharts where you can maybe even add notes yourself. Again, it's there, but it could be way better. The most annoying thing is the limited number of searches. Like, you go to a crime scene, and you can only click, 10 times? Why? Are we in a rush? Is the building on fire? Why can't a detective click, gasp, more than 10 fucking times? What's the point of it? I get that it makes you more focused on these searches, but they are such small part of the game that it feels more like restriction to get longer playtime rather than, a challenge. Especially when some items are hidden behind other items. You need to use your limited click. I don't know, man. It's very stupid, okay? So yeah, I really enjoyed playing Law and Order. It has good story, teaches you about courtroom proceedings, and is quite unique on this list. I really recommend you give it a try. Just note about the technical issues and some weirdly constructed parts of the experience.
Bedford. Huh, this is... You can't find Harrison's killer, and now you want to haul Franklin off on trumped-up charges. Well, we're gonna beat you. Don't you worry, son. We're gonna win this thing.
Mr. Bedford,
It's in the
you are
bag.
out of order. The gun must be ruled inadmissible.
The gun is the critical piece of evidence in the case, Your Honor.
Illegal search and seizure. It was obtained without a warrant.
The police were within their rights.
Number 9. Right, the second Walking Dead game on this list is New Frontier, and it is way better than Michonne. In a way, it's feeling like a mesh between Season 2 and the TV show plotline. Well, at least very similar plot lines. But just like the second season, it kind of feels unfocused and sometimes all over the place tone-wise. This season also is a bit weird since it's the only mainline season after the first where you don't play as Clementine. So you play as her in the second season, then you control this guy, and in the last season you play as Clementine again, which is okay in a sense that it makes the world feel bigger, but since you play as Clementine again later on, I kind of wish they were stick to either only Clementine or moving away from her, but maybe that's just my thing.
Don't get weird about it, just say yes. What, you okay?
My...
Shit. I'll get the doc.
I'm fine. I just needed to talk to you, alone.
What I will give right away, the action scenes and zombie fighting is way more exciting and feels like an actual fight. I mean, yeah, we have now learned to deal with walkers and have a lot more guns compared to Lee, so that might explain a few things, but I really like how they implemented the zombie threat. Though, like all Walking Dead properties, it sometimes suffer from, oh no, zombies are 5 inches from me and no one noticed or heard them or smelled them, rotting flesh. And after you notice them, they just don't stop making sound. Okay, that's kind of a logical price you have to pay for these games. But this game also gets a big plus since I'm a huge nerd, and when I saw a guy with long hair not attacking us, I was immediately like, oh, it's Jesus. I love Jesus. He's probably one of my favorite characters from the comics, so I have a soft spot for including him. Now, the story does have a bit too much dramatic coincidences and moments for my taste, but for most parts, it balances the grittiness of the world with the melodrama of the characters, I would say pretty well.
Can't believe this is really happening. She's gonna kill him. She can't do this to him. He's kept him safe.
Try to keep your cool. Joan's smart, but we're smarter. We just have to be careful.
We can't screw this up, Javi.
Javier! I'd heard you were planning to crash our little party. Why did you come on up here?
Some
Show
twists
your face
and
to
deaths were
everyone.
really fucked up, and it kind of made my blood boil, which creates this incentive to take more rash story decisions. It does a good job pulling you into this character's skin, stuck between his weird abusive brother and his wife, which he's sort of in love with, trying to keep everybody alive, and it just goes to shit. The decisions here have some good weight to them. What I can't fucking forgive is the way they closed up Season 2, since your decisions doesn't really matter. And they killed Kenny, my favorite character, the badass Kenny, in a stupid car crash when he was like, oh, guess I die now. Dude, that's some really shitty continuity. Justice for Kenny. A similar thing can be said about Clementine. She just kind of pops in here. Her story is not bad, and I love me some more Clementine. But man, the whole story feels like it was built without her. And then Clementine parts were squeezed in the last moments. If you replace Clementine with a random new character, would the story really change? I don't think so. It's really fun. Dare I say it, underrated Walking Dead game. It has some amazing moments and expands the world in an interesting way. But in the whole story of the series, it also feels like a black sheep, being good but not great. I definitely don't feel like I wasted my time, so if you see this on a discount, grab it and go have some zombie killing fun.
Javi!
Javi! Hang on!
It's all right, y'all. Number 8. Now, I don't know exactly how to feel about Back to the Future. It's in the 8th place, so it's doing something good. It has great voice acting, decent animation, some really fun puzzles, and wacky time travel shenanigans. If you're a fan of Back to the Future, it will be a great experience. That said, the game is weirdly about nothing. Most of the story feels jumbled all over the place. The characters don't really have any layers to them. They're just kind of cartoons. And the ending. The ending is just confusing. Like, what is this game even about? Huh? It starts as a time travel adventure, like you expect it to be. It kind of ends like it. But then there's another long, not interesting post-ending. And that shit drags. I honestly started to question, like, is this what the game was planning as the final showdown? A final confrontation, the final puzzle, reminding an old woman in the middle of nowhere about some random events? Okay. Cool game.
Finally headed to prison.
No apologies necessary, Miss Strickland. My rocket car may have accidentally saved the day, but only because it's a completely out-of-control failure. I need a new idea.
If you're willing to listen, I might have a few suggestions.
But first, I think we should take in a movie.
I'm all yours, Mr. Brown.
So yeah, at some point the game kind of goes to shit. But up until then, it's really fun adventure. The biggest appeal for me is the relationship and chemistry between Doc and Marty. And, well, the younger Doc. It's a smart idea to play both sides with different Docs having way different personalities that in the end sort of clashes into one. As a character study, there's actually quite a lot of good moments dissecting what Emmett Brown was and how his relationship with his father especially constructed the man he is today. Don't worry, it's still a kid's game. I don't think there's even a curse word said anywhere. And you don't hear people talking about existential dread of depression. No, it's colorful and bright and mostly stupid.
Oh, morning.
So basically, I traveled 50 years into the past to deliver your car?
Sorry about that, but it's so wonderful to see you. We have a lot of catching up to do.
Yeah, you might want to hold off on that, Doc.
Great Scott! I'm going to be gunned down by gangsters on the steps of the courthouse.
Why would they do that?
Talking about puzzles and gameplay, it's more of a mixed bag. I do think some of the puzzle solutions are genuinely fun to find. And there's not too many uses of moon logic here. But at the same time, the gameplay itself feels very rigid and old. I do like that there are always hints on what you need to do, and there is a surprising variety of different, camera setups. Sometimes first person, sometimes third, so at least visually you don't get bored while finding that solution. But yeah, there's not actually a lot to say about Back to the Future. It's a good small game that hasn't aged that well, featuring some great puzzles and weird decisions at the end. If you're a fan of the IP, then it will be amazing. If you're not a fan, it's pretty okay puzzle game.
You'd ever understand it, but I'm doing my part to support the arts in Hill Valley. Anyway, what's the technical term for attempting to jump your DeLorean through a billboard? Where did you even get a DeLorean? Is it stolen?
That's a little complicated.
I bet.
Number 8. Alright, number 8 on this list, and this one might surprise a few people, it's Marvel Guardians of the Galaxy, the Telltale series. My thoughts about Guardians in general are a mixed bag. I like them in general, but some of their media can be really annoying. Luckily, this game is way better than it has any right to be, while also falling at expected places. It feels like a mix between comic book Guardians and the ones from Marvel movie universe. The story is also kind of predictable. Some jokes, some space action, a bit of emotional fluff, and then we're done. And yeah, the dysfunctional group of idiots who somehow becomes a family while everything around them is actively collapsing. But how many times can we see Guardians become a family again?
Hey. When I get smushed, I'd better be first in line for some resurrection. Thanks.
Interesting.
Stop.
I'll admit, the writing does a great job capturing the constant chaos between the Guardians. Everyone is arguing, insulting each other, refusing to listen, and making everything worse, but in a way that still feels weirdly affectionate. And when the game slows down and lets these characters breathe, it actually hits harder than you expect. However, if you know a bit about Guardians, most of the plot twists and emotional beats will be very obvious from the very start. Visually, it's one of the more polished Telltale games. The environments actually feel alive. The space settings have personality, and the characters' models look expressive enough. Yeah, the soundtrack is also really good. That's kind of an expectation when we're talking about Guardians of the Galaxy. The music choices and licensed tracks give the game a surprising amount of personality, especially during combat or key story moments.
Yes.
Hey, you! Jackass!
Childish insults. I would expect as much from you. Now that I have this, I shall roll through the galaxy like a great wave, crushing the bones of every inhabitant and the civilizations of every planet I pass.
Oh, let me guess. It's an ancient superweapon. Or something.
While your choices do have impact and more than ever affect how your team views you, they also kind of feel weightless. Most decisions boils down to a few different flavored dialogue options. It's not terrible, but honestly, I can't remember any memorable decision I took or one that I had to really think about. Basically, no matter how you play, you will still end up in the same place with basically the same characters from personality perspective. It just lacked the bite, the real danger, and that's kind of why it lands here at number 8. It doesn't reach the emotional heights of the absolute best entries, and it doesn't have the same narrative punch as top-tier Telltale games. But it does succeed at something very important, making you care about a chaotic group of space idiots. And hey, who wouldn't want to be a space idiot? Am I right?
But I want him back, now!
I can't believe I have to say this to anyone, but stop killing people. Just stop it. And then maybe we can talk.
Or what? You'll murder my son? I will just resurrect him again.
Mother! Well, look who it is.
Please, Mother. Just do as they ask.
What are you planning to do with him?
Number 7. Okay, so the first CSI game goes to basically the end of my list. Why? Well, I grew up watching the old CSI shows, so anything even remotely close to detective work instantly gets a bit of a head start with me. And this feels like the most old-school CSI, in good ways and bad ways. Look, out of all CSI games, none of them really reinvent the formula when it comes to investigation gameplay.
Wow, this is a lot of blood. Be careful not to step in anything. I'll document most of this, but I'd like you to photo anything that looks out of place. I don't want to jump to any conclusions yet, I just want to take in the evidence.
Yeah, the latter entries polish things up a bit, with better visuals and more interactive elements, but I really like the UI and how fast the first game is. Later entries get a bit more complicated for no reason, and that complication makes the latter games, well, sluggish in a way. It also does great introducing the characters, the procedures, and the general vibe of being part of a forensic team without overwhelming you. I appreciate that it includes multiple difficulty options, so you can go in completely blind or play with hints if you just want to experience the story, you know? What's also cool, okay, is that using hints actually affect your final performance rating. So there's some replayability, even though it's minimal.
Products too. The pisser is, I get so steamed just thinking about it. I trusted him when we set things up. So he wound up owning my intellectual property, and I'm left at square one. I created the original Fuzzy and Bill online comic years ago, way before LZP. Then I sold Stan the full commercial rights for $1, on the understanding that he would make it into a game with me in for a big share as an employee of LZP.
Of course, what really makes or breaks CSI games are the cases themselves. And as I mentioned, 3 Dimensions of Murder actually delivers some really solid ones. I especially enjoyed the video game related murder case. That one had a lot of back and forth investigations, multiple suspects, and enough twists to keep you guessing for a while. The Dead Hiker case was also surprisingly engaging, slowly unfolding as you start questioning your own decisions. That said, the game is definitely showing its age in some pretty funny ways. First of all, no resolution option. Okay, which means you're just stuck with whatever weird, tiny screen setup the game decides to give you. Playing a crime investigation game at 600 by 800 resolution is an experience to say at least. And then there's case structure menu system. Instead of smoothly transitioning between cases, you have to manually load each one separately. Not like clicking start, just load a new case, which is just weird wording. Like, what? So yeah, it's old, it's kind of broken in places, but credit where it's due. Despite its age and quirks, the game actually runs surprisingly well. Load times are decent, performance is stable, and even though the visuals are very early 2000s, it still holds up better than you would expect.
I never touched his damn tobacco, and I got no memory of ever opening that jar. Write this down and take every word. I didn't poison nobody but a bunch of damn rats. Rodent type, not human.
Number 7. So, is Game of Thrones a bad Telltale game? Nope, not at all. It follows the exact same formula we've seen before. Choice-driven storytelling, tense dialogue, brutal consequences, but wraps everything in that dirty, political, constantly miserable Game of Thrones atmosphere. And these two things feel like they were meant for each other. One thing I absolutely have to praise is the inclusion of actors from the TV show. That could have easily turned into cheap fan service where recognizable faces completely overshadow the original story. The show characters appear just enough to make the world feel larger and more connected without stealing the spotlight from the new cast. That said, if you're not already a fan of Game of Thrones, this game is probably going to be really rough to get into. It doesn't spend much time explaining the world, the politics, or the factions. It just throws you directly into the middle of an ongoing conflict and expects you to keep up. If you already know the setting, that works perfectly because it immediately feels authentic. But if you're new, good luck trying to remember who hates who and why everybody wants everybody dead.
Let her go!
The original characters themselves are pretty solid though. They fit very naturally into already established world. Everybody is trapped in impossible situations, forced into ugly compromises, and constantly trying to survive a political dysfunction. You spend a lot of time balancing alliances, negotiating with dangerous people, and mostly humiliating yourself just to gain even a smallest advantage. Half the game feels like desperately trying to survive conversations without accidentally getting your entire family killed. There's also a decent amount of military conflicts and war-related drama, although this is where the game scale starts falling apart a bit. Because the idea of the world feels massive. Everybody talks about giant armies, looming wars, and kingdom-shattering conflicts. But then you actually look around your kingdom and it consists of 7 dudes standing in a country yard. Even the armies marching against you feel tiny. At one point, characters are desperately fighting to gather around 100 soldiers, and the game treats it like the arrival of the full Roman Empire. I know that's partly because of Telltale's limitations and budget, but it still hurts the immersion a bit when the scale of the story, that you talk about doesn't match what you actually see on the screen.
Cross to your left!
Garrett?
Kill them!
Still, that's relatively a small complaint compared to what the game does well. Since when it comes to brutality, the game absolutely commits to it. It doesn't shy away from the darker parts of the world at all. You can literally rip the heart out of your friend for blood magic, and some of the deaths, especially towards the end, genuinely made me sit there going, Jesus Christ, what the hell? The choices themselves feel appropriately cruel for the setting. A lot of the time, there isn't a good option. Someone is going to die, get tortured, betrayed, or even worse.
You always think it's gonna go your way, don't you, Rod? You're arrogant. Makes it sloppy.
Please. I'm sorry. For Asher.
But then we have the real problem. The fucking ending. Because there is no ending. It stops in the middle of a fucking battle and goes, well, to be continued in Season 2. And then there's no Season 2. Major plot lines unresolved, characters' arcs hanging in the air, entire conflicts left without conclusions. In fact, the ending episode feels like a pure setup for Part 2 instead of closing plot lines of characters. Especially since we killed our friends to get help for our family that is currently fighting for their lives, and there's no conclusion to that. And what makes it so frustrating is that there's so much potential here. This genuinely could have become one of the Telltale's best stories if it had gotten Part 2. But I guess Game of Thrones just can't escape the curse of a bad ending. The books still aren't finished. The TV show crashed into a wall, and House of Dragons is being watched by 8 people in total. Now even the video game did not stick the landing. That franchise might actually be haunted. Boom.
Good idea, Westerosi. Let's give those fuckers a welcome to remember.
Number 6. So, CSI Deadly Intent and CSI Fatal Conspiracy lands around number 6 on my list. Yes, I know, 2 games in the same spot again. Look, I might be stupid with numbers and miscalculated this list, so just fuck it. But also, they're really, really similar games. It's way more polished and focused experience, but very similar. Honestly, I would recommend these 2 games as a starting point if you haven't played any of these types of CSI adventures. The small life improvements and the optimized flow makes it easier to get the hang of it.
That Pauline wasn't actually a registered nurse? Yeah, Mary knew. She didn't have a problem with it. She liked Pauline a lot. She also knew how I felt about her. I think Mary probably thought I could do better than an ex-stripper, but she was happy that I was happy.
The first thing you'll notice is how much better the presentation is compared to the older games. Character models are improved, crime scenes look more detailed, and investigations feel a bit more modern overall. These games also do a better job of integrating the cast from the TV show. If you're a fan of the later seasons of CSI, you'll probably appreciate seeing familiar faces, taking more active roles throughout the case. Gameplay-wise, it's still very much classic CSI. What I liked most about these two games is that the cases themselves are genuinely well written. Several investigations start out fairly straightforward, before introducing enough twists to keep things interesting.
And he's got a picture on his phone of Will and Veronica together, apparently rekindling the old flame. Phone looks pretty clean otherwise. Hang on, there's a message in the sent box from Manny to Jesse. I'll download it into your case file. It says,
there's some really good writing here. Not to say that the other games don't have any, but it's notably tighter, and the back and forth between suspects feel smoother. That said, these two games suffer from one problem. They play things a bit too safe. Earlier entries sometimes felt experimental, occasionally throwing strange scenarios or unusual investigation structures at you. Here everything is polished and professional, but rarely surprising. Maybe that was because I kept playing CSI games for like 2 weeks straight.
Baja was laundering money, and when Portia confronted him about it, he panicked. Then he decided to rig the spa to explode. Portia probably showed up after Pete was gone. Doc Robbins said she had marijuana in her system, so she might not have noticed the acetone.
And these games are kind of easy compared to the first ones. Veteran players will probably identify the guilty party long before the investigation officially concludes, and the evidence chains rarely become particularly challenging. Still, credit's where it's due. Both Deadly Intent and Fatal Conspiracy are probably the easiest CSI games to recommend to newcomers. It looks better than the older titles, runs smoothly, and delivers exactly what you want from a CSI game.
As for Wally spent nearly a lifetime in my shadow. For a time we were rivals, but eventually he assumed the role of my understudy in the cabaret show. He was quite good at becoming me, the voice, the manner, and as you are obviously aware, my health is deteriorating, and I wanted, if something untimely should happen to me, I wanted him to take over, to carry on as Marcel.
Number 6. The Walking Dead, the final season. Oh boy. On one hand, I feel like the final season is the most technically sound and most hefty game-feeling Walking Dead entry. The visual style is improved and feels alive, especially in the way zombies look and move. Character models are more natural and some action scenes are brutal, man. The same can be said about the music and voice acting. All of it is top-notch. The main song is still stuck in my head. It's not just technical, it also feels like a culmination of so many philosophical ideas and points that the entire series was trying to discuss. Hell, it even has old-school returning characters from Season 1. Freaking Lee shows up to give us advice. And you know me, I love myself some Lee.
Go get some sleep. You deserve some shut-eye. You had a busy day.
Didn't exactly sound like a polite conversation. What are you fighting about?
It's really none of your business. Go back to the dorm.
The man you met at the station! We got history.
Brody! Don't listen to her, Clem. She's acting crazy.
But on the other hand, it feels really unfocused at points. It just so happens that we run into this character here. It just so happens that we know how to do this and that. I also don't feel like the whole setup of Clementine is a savior to these kids. Like, I know Lee was, like, also a savior to a certain degree, but here it feels like we're the main character that has to solve all these guys' problems. It makes them less dimensional. It also features a large ensemble that's maybe a bit too large. Like, some of these characters don't even get their own end screens, which is either all or none. It's weird. maybe I wanted a bit more integration or moments where I can spend time with these characters. Now everybody seems to get along nicely, but I don't even really know what these people are, Basically, the problem is that the game has a few time jumps, which means Clementine knows these characters better. But I gain no new information, so it builds this gap between what I know and what the character I'm controlling knows.
Dibs.
I'm super mixed on AJ as well. The setup is perfect. Just like Lee, we are taking care of a kid. But it's not just about protecting AJ. It's about building trust with him, teaching him, making sure he can survive and take very difficult decisions when shit comes to show. Some scenes with him are really strong, like holy hell. The voice actor and how he presents himself in dangerous situations, it's really masterfully done. However, AJ is one annoying little shit. Sometimes he will just do things where you're like, what? Why did you do that? Are you actually a psychopath? Or is this game trying to be like all dramatic? Huh? I think the issue here is that there are like 3 or 4 different combinations of AJ's character. But I would say only 1 or 2 actually fit the overall Walking Dead narrative. And when he goes a bit further in extremes, it doesn't work that well. For me at least. What I will give this game is that I really like how we evolved to have actual action scenes, where your timing matters, making zombies feel like an actual threat, and not just like simple QTE event. It's cool that they added a lot of small achievements for things you do. It helps with replayability, of course, and you feel rewarded finding some obscure Easter egg. And oh, the length. Surprisingly, there are only 4 episodes. Why? I don't fucking know. There was always 5, and now there's 4. Okay. But the episodes themselves feel way longer, and there is a lot going on with the new group, raising AJ, the threat of grown-ups, and trying to keep Clementine's humanity. It's a really good game, though the new characters don't really reach the heights of Kenny. Oh, Kenny, my beloved. Anyway, I highly recommend you give this a try and see the triumphant ending to one of the best narrative series in gaming. Number 5. So, the simple reason why Hard Evidence wins this small race between CSI games and gets the 5th place is that I feel like it had the best cases and most completed game. Like in every CSI game, the last case is just a culmination of every other case. Now, that's not always working well. Sometimes it can feel a bit, unrealistic. Like, what, are these 3 people in the whole Las Vegas? But Hard Evidence felt very nicely wrapped.
What?
So our Vic was responsible for his wife's blindness.
If 3 dimensions of murder proved that CSI games could be genuinely entertaining, Hard Evidence showed how much better they could become with a bit more polish, but without too much overcomplication. Right away, the biggest improvement is the pacing. Investigations flow more naturally, and the evidence is more interesting to explore. It's still very much point and click detective game, but everything feels, I would say, maybe more refined and less clunky. One thing Hard Evidence does especially well is making forensic work feel important. Look, in some games, it can feel like you're simply clicking every available object until the game allows you to continue. You know the games. Here, the evidence often feel more connected to the investigation, and discovering a crucial piece of information can genuinely shift the direction of a case.
You see this switch? Someone put it inside to reverse the current when it's stepped on.
Reverse the current? Yeah, but that would cause the... Oh my god!
Of course, it's not perfect. The visuals are still very much product of their era, and some animations can be unintentionally, hilarious today. Characters' expressions often range from slightly awkward to completely lifeless, which can make serious moments lose a bit of an impact. But despite those limits, Hard Evidence remains one of the most enjoyable CSI games Telltale ever produced. The cases are constantly strong, the pacing is excellent, and the investigations strike a great balance between accessibility and engagement. Go solve some cases.
I had no choice but to stop him. What mother wouldn't? And so I killed him. I put him out of our misery. When I learned that that foul snake Adash was in your custody, I thought his karma had caught up with him. But when you begin to suspect my daughter, my innocent child, I must come forward. Jail will be a small payment for a life of freedom for Adya.
Number 5. The Walking Dead Season 2 is ironically the second best game in the Walking Dead series. And Walking Dead was the main horse of the Telltale Games. So it's saying a lot. However, it was always going to be worse than the first game. In fact, I don't know exactly what they could have done to reach the same heights. The first game came at the right time in a very specific packaging that you basically can't repeat. But you also can't stray away from it. It has to be sort of the same. It's a game that was always meant to tear the fanbase apart. The emotional beats, the characters, the flow, it's simply a bit more sloppy than the first game. Especially at the later half of this adventure. It kind of feels like at some point we run out of steam. But that said, at some point, this game is way better than the first.
Here you go. Hey, you don't need it all.
Let's start from the technical side. It runs better, it loads faster, and the environments are more impressive. It feels like Telltale refined a lot of its engine, especially around the animation parts, some of which now look and feel even more brutal. You also get to do more, not saying that the first game had nothing to do, but here in a lot of scenarios, you need to actively solve a problem, not just react to it. There's also a bias for me since I love Kenny so much, and seeing him again, talking with Clem about Lee, it just hits differently. And the freaking Carver scene. Oh boy, literal chills just writing this. I love Lee, don't get me wrong, but he was always too good for this world. And in a weird way. And I feel like Clem's development is super, in parts. She's reluctant to trust people, angry and fed up with the stupid assholes all around. Kind of like Lee, but she also tries to find a more approachable solution to surviving. It's great. I just wish the story didn't lose its focus in the middle of it. One thing I will say is that I think the game started the awful practice for all upcoming Walking Dead games.
Hello? Hello there.
Who are you?
Well, actually, I'm your neighbor.
Neighbor?
That's right. My family and I are set up a ways downriver on
Kind of surprised we haven't run into each other yet. What's your name?
Important choices lead you to characters dying. Not because of your choice. No. You choose to save one of the characters. And he dies 10 minutes later. Because the story is not designed for that. It's not that overused here. And it's not like it doesn't have its use, you know. You can't save everyone no matter how much you try and all that nonsense. So I understand it. But it kind of removes the tension when I can see that the character is getting killed even as I'm speaking with him. We needed more time with the characters to really get into their heads, maybe focusing the entire season of escaping Carver and the suffering he created would make more sense. It kind of feels like the game reached the most cathartic moment in episode 3, and then we are just left with a overstretched conclusion. But yeah, apart from the few things, oh boy, this is an amazing Walking Dead experience for fans and those who never saw a zombie movie in their goddamn life.
Little shit.
Bill! That's enough, Bill! Please! Bill, there's a breach!
Number 4. Well, the top list for puzzle games is just going to be Sam and Max and of course, Tales from Monkey Island. I will admit I am biased here, absolutely, since Sam and Max is my favorite duo in all gaming. I just love these guys, and the chemistry between them is so strong that when I hear Max's voice, my brain immediately fills in with a dialogue from Sam. The quips, the jokes, the stupid questions, all of that works to create one of the funniest adventures with insane characters and some bonkers storytelling. Truly, you will not see most of the twists coming.
Hard Luck Pawn Shop.
Oh, good. This is the place where I hawk your baby shoes, your first bicycle, your retainer. Oh, they know me here.
So why is the third game in the franchise getting the 4th place on this list? Well, it's good. Great even. But lacks a bit of pizzazz. I don't even know what the word means actually. Just roll with it, okay? It's a bit more serious tone story, more reliant on weird sci-fi than crazy nonsense like from the first 2 games. The jokes also get less time to shine, and instead of an assault of them every minute, you get less but maybe more developed jokes. That's not to say that the Devil's Playhouse is an unfunny game. It's still leagues above most competitors. It's just that when comparing masterpieces amongst each other, someone has to take the L. Oh, here's my L.
Don't be calling Mr. Paperweight a loser. He's a stand-up guy who took me in and gave me a job.
He's not here, you know.
Nah, I got no idea what that loser's up to. Heck, I can't even understand half the things he tells me over the headphones.
Also, I really admire adding more gameplay parts. They do add a lot of, variety. But it kind of takes away from the whole point of Sam and Max games. You know, the pointing and clicking, as well as the story. I kind of feel like they went a little too hard in the direction of making this one feel like a hybrid point-and-click game. Again, it's admirable, but it did not click with me as much as the second or the first game did. The puzzles go to hyperdrive in this one, since with all the powers and characters, sometimes I truly felt Moon logic shining on me.
Cookies and nuts. But where's the milk? I distinctly ordered milk and cookies, you brainless boobies! How the hell am I supposed to eat cookies without milk? Milk! It comes from cows!
What I mean is that I found some of these game mechanics to negatively influence the perfect balance of the second game. Now, it's fun that the game tries to finish all loose ends and give attention to every single character we encountered in the first 2 games. I like the ending quite a lot, but I do not love it. It has a lot of very smart written dialogue, that's always the case with Sam and Max, but the core story felt a bit all over the place this time. So it's a good hybrid point-and-click puzzle adventure game, with way better visuals and technical parts. But it's not the best Sam and Max game.
We're much more than mere rebels.
Hey, aren't you?
To defeat Thamon Mac, you will need a weapon that our rebel forefathers originally used to separate his tyrannical brain from his spoiled body back in ancient Egypt.
Cable television?
No, we speak of the brain screw.
Ooh, pointy and dangerous. Two of my favorite things.
Number 4. So, if the original Batman, the Telltale series, landed around the middle of my rankings, then its sequel, Batman, The Enemy Within, came dangerously close to making the top 3. And I mean dangerously close. Because The Enemy Within takes everything that worked in the first game and cranks it up to 11. Being probably my favorite Telltale game mechanically. First of all, the choices here actually feel massive. Not fake Telltale. This character will remember that choice. But decisions where somebody genuinely gets hurt, relationships permanently change, or entire situation just spirals out of control depending on what you do.
I don't like lying to Harley, but I'll do it for you, Bruce. What I really need is the phalanx key. You give me that, I can go out there and, make Harley happy.
You can have the key. Just leave Tiffany out of it, okay?
You mean this thing?
That's it?
You've got to be kidding, Bruce. You can't give these psychos anything from this lab.
Hey now, no need to get personal. We're all on the same side, remember?
Please, Tiffany. I've been honest with you every step of the way.
There were moments when I had to really debate what to choose, because no matter what, someone ends up paying the price. Even the dialogue choices feel more impactful. Conversations you barely think about in episode 1 can come back hours later in a way you didn't expect. And for once, the game gives you multiple characters you need to balance carefully instead of just picking the one you like. What I especially love is how the game separates Bruce Wayne from Batman into almost 2 completely different roles. And Bruce might actually be more useful than Batman in this story. And maybe that's kind of like saying something, Maybe the game is trying to say something about billionaire lunatics dressing up at night and trying to punch crime into submission. Maybe, just maybe. Because underneath all the action and drama, the story is actually really critical of Batman himself. It questions his methods, his effect on Gotham, and whether fear and violence are actually making things better or worse. But at the same time, it's not preachy. It still understands why Gotham needs Batman. The biggest improvement over the first game is the way factions and relationships are handled. The original game sometimes felt a bit too simple.
Now, Wayne, do it!
What was that?
What the hell's going on?
HQ, do you copy?
My gun, it's fried.
A lot of choices affected only like one character or 2 at most, but Enemy Within turns everything into a giant balancing act. Help Amanda Waller too much and James Gordon starts feeling betrayed. Stay loyal to Gordon and suddenly Waller starts, distrusting you. So even the good guys are divided into competing groups constantly pulling Bruce into different directions. And then there's the main hook of the story, which is really good. Infiltrating a dangerous criminal organization as Bruce Wayne while secretly trying to stop them as Batman. That setup alone creates so many fantastic scenarios because Bruce constantly has to lie, manipulate people, and maintain relationships that could explode at any second. But the absolute highlight of the game for me is the portrayal of Joker. Or, well, John. His transformation throughout the story is incredible. The performance? Wow, holy moly. It's amazing, and you can literally hear his voice slowly evolving into the Joker everybody recognizes. This relationship between Bruce and John is one of the most fascinating dynamics Telltale ever wrote.
You found me the black site, didn't you? Plus, you're not a bad guy. I mean, you're rotten like the rest of us. But you actually care for some people. Like that girl John told me about. What's her face? Brittany? No. Tiffany. You remember? Early 20s, fresh-faced and optimistic.
Because in Joker's eyes, Bruce is everything. Not romantically, I think, but there's this obsessive emotional attachment when Joker genuinely sees Bruce as the only person who can ever truly understand him. And now, add like a lot of action scenes where you punch people as Batman, and you get yourself a fantastic game. Now sure, I still would have liked a few more detective sections or puzzle-solving moments. I think that the game occasionally leans a bit too hard into dialogue and action, and Batman is also a detective. But the pacing is so strong that it barely matters. The combat scenes are exciting, the conversations are tense, and the story is twisted. If the first Batman game was about introducing Telltale's version of Gotham and its characters, then The Enemy Within feels like a moment all those ideas finally came together perfectly. It takes the foundation of the first season and turns it into one of the best Batman stories outside the comics. Although, low-key, I still wanted more Riddler puzzles. Yes, I know that's insane. Yes, Riddler is my favorite Batman villain. No, I will not elaborate.
No.
You saved me. Why? You could have let me die.
Every life has value. Even yours.
Reciting from the old code again, Bruce. You cling to it like a security blanket, hoping if you just hold on, you'll never fall into the darkness.
Number 3. The first game in the Telltale series for Sam & Max goes to the third place. I think it's a bit stronger than Devil's Playhouse and has a very solid balance between the logical puzzles and crazy out there solutions. Though from the visual parts and crazy over-the-top moments, it's a bit more tamed. It's a good start, dare I say nearly perfect, but you do see the potential for more, especially once you play the second game. Though the style, the opening with different colors for different episodes might look simple to you, but oh man, it has such a vibe and just screams Sam and Max to me.
Attack the videotapes. No, me! Attack me! Me! Yes! Oops, no, wait, I mean...
Smart move, Sam. You played him like a $2 glockenspiel.
The story is a mix between pure insanity, like chasing a giant statue of Abe Lincoln, or Basco changing his disguise in each episode, claiming more strange things, which, oops, turns out to be real. The writing and jokes here are really strong, and I feel like it manages to set up all what's going to come in the later games and the characters pretty well. Even if you haven't played any Sam & Max game, you'll very quickly get what's the deal with most of these characters. What helps with this is that the story doesn't overuse references or callbacks to other media. It sets up jokes and executes them with the established story. That can sound weird, but you don't know how many times games rely on the, hey, remember this? Instead of actual quality writing. Basco keeps asking for more and more insane sums of money for what is, well, crap. Like $100 million for a truth serum that is just vodka. And this goes on and on to the point when you ask him and kind of yourself, hey, why are your shitty inventions always going up in crazy prices? And he looks at you and says, I don't know. All I know is that I keep making up insane prices and you keep paying me money. And I thought that this was a very clever bit, actually.
Hey, Bosco.
Nice flapjack.
Son of Cordon Bleu, who is this Bosco? Hey guys, it's me, Bosco. No. But you may call me Jean-Francois Bandepart, the new French anarchist.
Not only kind of implying that you're playing a game and we don't have any other options, but also I as a player never questioned stuff after the first episode. I just went with it, since it's just Bosco. And that's kind of the point. The puzzles here are, well, like every puzzle in Sam & Max. They can feel stupid, but they all have logical solutions. While the second and third games add more tools and interactions to these puzzles, this one is very straightforward. Find an item, use the item, get another item. Basically, it's not trying to confuse you or add 5,000 things you can click for really no reason. After the first episode, you'll know exactly what's actually interactable. And talking about interactivity, what I love about each Sam & Max game is that each episode follows the other. What the fuck do I mean? Well, after each case, you find collectibles to be put in your closet or around the office. Basically, your office gets more and more cluttered with random things, and even the street evolves from case to case. Yeah, so Save the World gets the third place. Really funny, really interesting, really well written. Go get your filling of Sam & Max.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our next contestant, Sam.
Hello. I'd like to do a little song I call Busted Down Hound Dog Blues. Shiny like a new Mylar balloon.
Thinking about the rings on the Great Raccoon.
Number 3. So we finally reached the top 3. And honestly, this was way harder to rank than I was expecting. When I started this list, I thought I already knew exactly what number 1 would be. But after replaying everything, yeah, I'm not so sure anymore. At this point, you can think about the top 3 as interchangeable. They're all incredible games in their own ways. But as of writing this video today, right now, third place goes to Tales from the Borderlands. God damn you, Tales from the Borderlands.
Someone please spit in my eye! Or lick my eye! I don't care! Lick
Oh
me in the
god,
eye!
the toxin turned him insane. Or into an eyeball fetishist.
He's dehydrated, but the shot you gave him should help.
Oh, man. Oh, that's the stuff. Oh, yeah. Thank you for blinking. Oh, God.
Well, glad I could help.
Well, hang on there, Doc.
I went into this expecting absolutely nothing. And somehow, the game dragged me through 8 different emotional states. 1 minute, I'm laughing at super dumb jokes. The next, I'm completely attached to these characters, and then suddenly, I'm sitting there emotionally destroyed because of that sacrifice scene. You know the one. And then, 5 minutes later, the game somehow has me completely hyped for a ridiculous final showdown. You know what? Now as I'm saying this is completely Borderlands. I don't know what else what. It also really helps that I love the world of Borderlands, and this game absolutely nails the tone and the visuals of the universe. There were moments where I kind of forgot I wasn't playing some weird alternate version of Borderlands 1. That's how autistic it feels. Autistic? Authentic? Autistic. Definitely not that word, okay? That's how authentic it feels.
Let me in.
But none of this would have worked if the game would not understand how to do Borderlands humor correctly.
Almost seems like, what's the word? Providence?
Sup, ladies? What you been doing? Talking about boys?
Nope. Just discussing casual misogynism and how it manifests in corporate executives.
Oh. Yeah, well. Just getting around.
And boys, Captain's brother is finally marrying his boyfriend. This is the happiest I've ever been.
Look, the Borderlands franchise is stupid. I mean that lovingly, but it absolutely is. It's a world full of toilet humor, absurd violence, ridiculous guns that shoot more guns, psychos screaming nonsense, and complete and utter chaos. That style of comedy is definitely not going to work for everyone. But surprisingly, Tales from the Borderlands avoids becoming obnoxious. If you're somebody who hears Claptrap and immediately cringes, don't worry. The game rarely reaches that level of ugh.
Okay.
If you'd stop being so negative, maybe we could.
How's your tum-tum there, buddy? That'll teach you to hit the taco truck.
Right now, I don't see how that's gonna happen.
Wow, you got the magic, kid. They should bottle the stuff. Call it weak sauce.
And that's why we have to drill down
No,
on
I'm
every
sure there's
aspect of the
greatness
mission.
in there somewhere. We just gotta keep
I'm not
looking.
the one forcing us to go on a suicide
Actually, I
mission.
could use
Just
your
stop
help.
calling it that.
Yeah,
I'll call him like
of course you could.
Great. Real helpful.
Is that a yes or no?
Face reality.
What? You think old Jack would leave his meat buddy
is that
hanging?
We don't have a choice.
I
Valerie's kind of got us
honestly
backed into a
don't
corner.
know how to answer that.
You don't think I know?
The humor here is much sharper and faster paced, kind of feeling like Guardians of the Galaxy. More importantly, when emotional or serious moments happen, the game actually lets them breathe. It doesn't constantly undercut everything with like Marvel-style one-liners every 5 seconds. Well, most of the time. And can we talk about episodes intros for like a second? Because this is the only Telltale game where I was actively like excited waiting for the title drop every single episode. Seriously, look at these intros. The music, the visuals, the editing, the style. Every single episode sort of starts with this stylish burst of chaos that I think perfectly captures the energy of the Borderlands series. It got to a point where I was actually genuinely wondering, how are they doing the title card this time? Is something about to explode? Are we getting chased by a monster? Is someone about to get launched through a window? And with Borderlands, you can never know.
That you are never really controlling me. Now I can see the light shine. Oh, and I know it was kind of you. Say life can be long.
But what surprised me the most is that underneath all the insanity, the story actually has a lot of heart. I really like these characters. The game constantly balances humor, action, and emotional damage in a way that really shouldn't work well. But somehow it does. The chemistry between everyone is fantastic. I don't even know how to explain it, but there were moments where I was kind of giggling at conversations like some school kid being like, "Oh, Reese, you say the darnest things." Anyway, even the villains here have more personality than I was expecting. And no, I'm not talking about Handsome Jack. Every confrontation with them feels like a clash of personalities, instead of just, we have to stop the bad guys from doing bad stuff. And one more thing. This game, alongside Batman the Enemy Within, gave me the biggest urge to replay it immediately afterwards. Not just because the story has so many twists, and not just because your choices matter more than usual in Telltale Games, but because the game actually changes who shows up to help you later, like depending on your choices. And certain characters will only stand beside you if you help them earlier, save them, or build trust with them. Since not everyone can join you, I immediately wanted to replay the game just to see different combinations of allies in the final battle. And that battle, man, ooh, wow. It captures Borderlands perfectly, and every single character has their own little battle with a monster. Like, god damn it, I love this game so much. Even if you hate Borderlands, even if you find it like the most annoying thing ever, go play this game. You will actually love it. So again, just to reiterate, these three are basically interchangeable. They're really good, but I'll still give them, numbering.
That's the plan.
Killing people tonight. How many people do you think will lose, huh? How many of your co-workers did you just eject into space to get rid of me, huh? What makes you think you're the good guy in this scenario, huh?
Number 2. Just like with Sam and Max, I have a soft spot for Monkey Island. I have played a lot of the older LucasArts Monkey Island games, so it hits me right in the nostalgic feel. But even without that, it's one hell of a funny puzzle game. The first strong point here are the puzzles. They are stupid, wacky, and sometimes insane, but they always make sense. You just have to stop and really think about your surroundings and the items you have. I also like the old school ability to combine items that's missing from a lot of newer puzzle games, I just wish there were more things to combine. Sometimes the mechanic gets kind of forgotten, put in the backside. It has this perfect balance where I was pushing to solve puzzles on my own since I knew the solution is right there. I just needed to use those brains a bit harder. Another big plus for the game is that there's a lot of variety in environments and what you need to do. Running in a jungle trying to solve a maze, then fighting through pirate blockade, making stupid faces inside a giant manatee, then helping that manatee get a date just to try to defend yourself in crazy pirate court. It's insane. All over the place, yet somehow everything flows naturally to one crazy ride. It manages to have a lot of very fun parts as well. I love Winston and his obsession with maps. The skull was really a wacky character. And the credits for episode 3 are low-key my favorite credits in all video games. God damn, it's in the second place just for that. That was amazing.
How many numbskulls does it take to make one of these anyway? Ah, Joe Pinney, the man who taught me everything I know. Everything I know about evil. The testers, sitting in a dark room with lava lamps and they think it's heaven.
Well, okay, not only because of that. The music is pretty catchy, visuals are colorful, even if dated, and the voice acting is really good. Especially when characters go into their bad, evil LeChuck moods. Now, just like Sam and Max, this story is made in equal parts. One part is the crazy world, which Tales from the Monkey Island definitely has, with its ambiguously sexy fish people and skeleton crews. And the second part are the characters. While I won't lie, the game starts slow and some characters can feel a bit stiff, later on their chemistry and situations are really fun. LeChuck is a weird character. Here's he's stupid but cunning. Mostly stupid, okay? Until the end, where you realize it was all a disguise and you were the stupid one. Elaine is a badass wife pirate that turns out to be really fun, well-developed character. Not really overshadowing your actions, but also not making you feel like you're the most badass pirate ever. I also really like that the ending was focused on the voodoo lady. This whole game is kind of focused on the voodoo lady. And, oh, no one knows her name for some reason. Okay.
Make me.
Again, the start is a bit slower. Some puzzles are meh or a bit too unclear, and I wanted a bit more creativity. That I saw in episode 3 in other episodes. But that's all the cons I could think about. Honestly, this was one of the most fun puzzle experience I have played in a while. If you like puzzles, stupid gags, mature themes for some reason, and fun story, then definitely go play Tales of Monkey Island.
Have time for this. I'm sick of your runaround. I'm sick of your silly faces, and I'm sick of...
Whoa. Maybe you're just sick, brah.
You yelly-bellied deserter! I've crushed the souls of men 10 times as tough as you and forgotten them by lunch. You'll do as I say, or rue the name Threepwood for the rest of your very short life!
Number 2. Oh god, this is probably blasphemy. I can hear like angry mob forming outside my house. Woo! But number 2 on my list goes to The Walking Dead Season 1. Yes, it gets a second place. Stop booing! Stop booing, okay? Look, no, there's basically nothing bad about this game. Clementine and Lee Everett are some of the best characters, not in just like gaming, but honestly, in all zombie fiction. The emotional moments hit you like an absolute fucking truck. I mean, the entire final stretch of the game, Jesus Christ. Absolutely gut-wrenching. Every Let's Play just ends with people crying. God.
It went away. This place seems pretty sealed off. Well...
The way the story is presented, its choices, is brilliant because so many of them genuinely don't have a right answer. The world is already ruined. Society is dead. But it's still new to us, new to these characters, new to the way the world needs to operate now. Everyone is terrified and desperate. And most of the time, you're not choosing between good and evil, you're choosing between 2 awful options and hoping you pick the less horrible one. The art style, the voice acting, the disgusting details of the world, the constant tension, all of it combines into this ugly, horrifying journey that somehow still manages to feel beautiful at the same time. But if there's one thing that this game absolutely masters, it's the characters. And yeah, okay, maybe saying there are the best written characters in gaming history is a bit dramatic, especially when I place it in a second place. But they're close there. They're close.
He's trapped. This'll be easy then. He's got keys. Probably to that door. And everything you'll need.
Clementine especially is incredible because she generally feels like a real child. She's afraid, she's confused, but she wants to live. She wants to do what's right. It takes maybe 1 minute of talking to her before your brain immediately switches, all right, I need to protect this kid with my life. And the way she reacts to the horrors around her feels painfully believable. When she sees something disturbing, your instinct is immediately to start screaming, "No, Clementine, don't look!" And that's honestly becomes a second goal of the game, to make sure that Clementine doesn't experience all of this madness. So you're not just trying to survive, you're also trying to protect Clementine's sanity. But at the same time, you also understand that if she's going to survive in this world, she has to see it. She has to learn how to fight. She has to understand what people become when society collapses. It's not fun to understand that, but you need to understand that. This conflict also makes the relationship between her and Lee so powerful. Lee himself is a fantastic protagonist because he isn't some perfect hero. Before the apocalypse even started, he had actually killed a man. So from the very beginning, there's darkness inside of him. He's capable of violence.
You want to know how I see it?
Sure.
Is he a good person that made a mistake, or a bad person that showed his real face? And you understand why he hides part of his past, why you hide it. In a world where trust is fragile and fear controls everyone, revealing too much information about yourself can just be as dangerous as the walkers outside. But honestly, my favorite character was always Kenny. Kenny is this angry, stubborn, hot-headed mess of a man who loses almost everything important to him in the span of a few days. And yet somehow, underneath all that rage, grief, and frustration, he still keeps pushing forward. That's what makes him so special to me. So the story and characters are great. But personally, I probably would enjoy the little more gameplay variety, maybe some extra action sequences or a few more puzzle-solving selections. It's not bad, but some episodes feel very uneven in this regard. And we can also talk about the whole your choices does not matter thing. I have a video about it, but yeah, it kind of sucks a bit if you're replaying this game a few times. You're like, I'm railroaded to a single story, even when the game is lying to me a bit, blah, 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 blah. But I don't know. I'm kind of expecting this from a Telltale game, so I'm not really counting this against this game. Look, it's no surprise why this game defined Telltale. This is the title that transformed them into the studio most people remember today. And I have to agree, it's one of their best games. So, whether you're a fan of the Walking Dead universe or somebody who just wants to experience one of the most emotionally devastating stories in gaming, this game absolutely deserves its legendary status. Go play it.
It's a good thing.
Do you know how to do this?
Yeah, of course.
I don't believe you.
Number 1. Listen, I have played all Sam & Max games back when I was, growing up. So I vaguely remember the puzzles, the plot points, even some of the jokes. But with that said, there were so many moments where I actually laughed out loud, which doesn't happen that often for me. This has to be the craziest adventure where every single moment you think they won't top themselves in stupidity and creativity, but they do. They keep making things more insane. In my humble opinion, this is the best writing in any Telltale game, with so many innuendos, jokes, and weird references that you just have to admire them. There's freaking D.P. Cooper as a baby. Yeah, what? Yeah, shit gets weird.
Jimmy? Anybody?
Well, Jimmy, where's this big score that's gonna change everything? Where's all the money that's gonna save our dear tiny Timmy? Yes, Daddy. Where the is it? Oh, it's hopeless. The doctors say his Tourette's syndrome will kill him if they don't operate soon. Don't cry, Mommy. I'll get the with the up angels.
What I really like about the second game in the series is that the story really builds up on each episode. In the first part, you might see something and go, oh, that's weird. And then at the end, you're like, oh, so that's what it was. Sam and Max get killed at one point, only to become zombies and be able to talk to other zombies. That's stupidly clever. And when you start traveling through time, the jokes and the side stories really start to shine. The stupidest thing is that all of that political and social satire works really well even to this day. So that might be saying something about the cyclical nature of humanity. Or whatever. Also, the game has perfect puzzles. They balance between stupid moon logic solutions and perfectly rational explanations.
Weird. It says I've already scanned him.
That's the same Super Bowl we met over 40 years ago?
I'm aging gracefully, sir. Clean living.
That wouldn't work if the whole story wouldn't be built in perfect continuity. Meaning that anything that any character says or does in one episode can be a hint in a puzzle 2 episodes later. Okay, so I already talked about Sam and Max in my previous entries. No need to repeat all that. Though I will say that I really like the style and animated intros that this game brought. It feels like the right balance of, well, everything. The perfect recipe for the perfect point-and-click adventure. If you have not experienced Sam and Max, trust me, you need them in your life. Go play these games and thank me later.
Saying, there's another case solved, and with minimal casualties.
What do you think's on the other side, Sam?
Oh, I don't know. Probably some horrible alternate dimension ruled by incomprehensibly horrific ancient gods seeking to bring chaos to this plane. You want to jump in?
You can read my mind, Sam!
God, I hope not.
Number 1. So what else could take the top spot? What game hits me with the menu music alone and immediately makes me fall to my knees and want to replay this game. What characters did I end up loving even more than zombie fighting Lee and Kenny? It's The Wolf Among Us. It was always going to be The Wolf Among Us. This fucking game, it's a masterpiece for me. The atmosphere, the world design, the voice acting, the camera work, the music, every single element comes together to create this dark, seductive, deeply messed up world that you can't stop exploring. Everything about it pulls you in. It feels dangerous, grimy, and relatable at the same time. I think that this game has the best use of a Telltale protagonist they've ever done. You see, with Lee in The Walking Dead, you constantly had to make impossible decisions while being pushed to the brink of death. And that absolutely worked. But a lot of these choices felt like survival instincts kicking in. Sometimes there simply wasn't a good option. But with Bigby, that's different. You don't know what the hell is going on. Bigby usually isn't the one in danger. Instead, the game pushes other people to the brink of getting absolutely smashed by you. And that kind of changes the whole dynamic. Yeah, sure, there's still big, worse guy, but you're the big bad wolf. Suddenly every dialogue option feels dangerous in a completely different way than in Walking Dead.
You're gonna hit me? Go ahead! That's what you want to do, right? Oh no, fuck! You! Take your sad fucking face where I can't see it! Bloody bastard fucking shit! You proud of yourself, mate? Proud of your little mess? Fuck's sake.
Because the truth is, I know Bigby can destroy everyone around him, and Bigby knows it. In fact, everybody knows it. So when some asshole keeps screwing up with my investigation or getting in my way, I start getting angry as a player. And then I release that anger through Bigby. Only afterwards do I realize, yeah, everyone around me is terrified now, and honestly, they kind of have a good reason for it. That connection between power and justice in an unjust world, I don't know, it's just perfect for me. The choices still feel personal and fully in your hands, but there's always this balance you're trying to maintain between the detective and the monster underneath, between Bigby the sheriff and Big Bad Wolf. A lot of credit belongs to Bill Willingham and the Fable comics, and what I loved about this game's action scenes is that they feel very cathartic. And while I really love the central murder mystery, I'll admit the investigation itself almost became secondary, like in the end there. It's not due to problems in story or flow or whatever, it's just that I kept wandering around, thinking to myself, how would this character survive here? What will he do later on? What will happen to him? And while, yeah, it does suffer a bit from the your choices don't really matter that much, it has a few really, important ones. So, look, in my opinion, this is peak Telltale, okay? This is a perfect game for a story-driven, narrative choices matters experience or whatever. And if you still somehow haven't played The Wolf Among Us, seriously, do yourself a favor and go play.
That's a lovely image.
He's had enough!
I'm the lapdog, huh? Here. Fetch.
Okay, so that was one hell of a list. It took me fucking months to complete these games. Jesus Christ, holy shit. Sorry. But I'm really happy you're still here, if anyone is still here actually. So, do you agree with this list? What's your favorite Telltale game? Leave your lists and your ideas and your solutions and resolutions in the comments. I'm going to go and play South Park now because I just need a game about poo and pee and farts and... yeah, so thank you for watching. I hope I'll see you next time and have a good evening.